words, we've made a tremendous amount of progress in the field of the theoretical development in relationship to zero-point vacuum fluctuation dynamics. Zero-point vacuum fluctuation dynamics was first proposed by Heisenberg. It was first observed by Casimir. And in the last decade, there have been very serious attempts and some successful experiments, as you know, to confirm the effective force that pervades all matter. The 20th century has seen us make an idol out of mass. Einstein proposed equals mc squared, and we began to really consider the energy that is described in the dynamic that we call mass. In the latter part of this century, we are turning a new key. That key is the energy out of which that mass is precipitated. In 1962, John Archibald Wheeler of Princeton, in the Review of Modern Physics, described the energy density of this field as 10 to the 93rd power grams per centimeter cubed. Zakharov in the Soviet Union, Puthoff in the United States, Jennison in the UK, and several others have concurred with this conclusion, which is based on a limiting frequency or dimension of the fluctuation of the Planck wavelength, 10 to the minus 33rd centimeters. In point of reference, the mean density of our planet is 5.6 grams per centimeter cubed. The known mass of the universe is 10 to the 48th power, recently increased by 2 orders of magnitude, grams. This means that the energy that pervades every cubic centimeter of space, every single cubic centimeter of space, is actually greater than what is observed in the entire spectrum of mass energy. In a couple of decades, I think we'll look back at this time as a time when we began to wake up. We ceased to be hypnotized by an obsession with a secondary phenomena. David Bohm, in his book, Wholeness and the Implicate Order, has called mass noise that rides on the sea of infinity. This is not metaphysics. This mass, all mass, every particle is in this moment being the dynamic modification, only the dynamic modification of field space. It has no quality of stasis whatsoever. The solidity that has so obsessed our conceptual thinking is only a form of subjectivity. It has nothing to do with reality. Experiments at University of California, Berkeley, CERN, and many other particle physics labs have shown clearly excess momentum in particle experiments that has to be coming from somewhere. That's still the Neanderthal level. If we take this field, which pervades us now, which our own bodies are modifications of. And we recognize that the reason we don't normally perceive it is because it is isotropic. It is uniform in its distribution with a little bit of noise. If we recognize this, then the concept of being able to precipitate particles out of this field will not seem so obtuse or distant. We introduce a stress into this field through the medium of the electromagnetic fields. We introduce a stress which says to the field, I have a lower density here and a higher density here, ever so slightly, but with a field that has 10 to the 93rd power grams, energy equivalents per centimeter cubed. Even a slight differential, a slight stress that is introduced into that field precipitates a particle. When we first considered this, it seemed that it shouldn't really be necessary to spend billions of dollars to smash atoms. Instead, we could spend far less to precipitate particles. It is a synergistic phenomenon. But until we begin to break through this subjective and archaic presumption of the solidity of things, of the distance between objects, and begin to realize it is what is in the distance between objects that is important. It is the fluctuation field in that space that is important, that is primary, that is the seat, that is the source, that is the substance. And when we begin to realize that, then we begin to engineer technologies. The closed-path homopolar generator was the first technology we were specifically involved in. Many of you here